Peter Parker had faced a lot of weird things in his career as Spider-Man. Symbiote aliens, interdimensional vampires, a guy who dressed like a rhinoceros. But nothing had prepared him for this. One moment he was swinging through Manhattan, trading punches with Electro above Times Square while tourists scattered below. The next, reality itself tore open like wet paper, a swirling vortex of blue-white energy appearing directly in his webline's path. He had exactly half a second to think, "Oh, this is bad," before the dimensional rift swallowed him whole, and the familiar skyline of New York vanished into chaos. The transit felt like being pulled through a cosmic drain. Pressure spinning, his spider sense screaming warnings that meant nothing because there was no threat to dodge. Just existence itself coming apart and reforming. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Spider-Man tumbled out of empty air and hit dirt hard, rolling across unfamiliar ground before his reflexes kicked in and he sprang into a defensive crouch. His lenses adjusted to the harsh light. 2 suns, 2 actual suns, and his brain struggled to process what he was seeing. A battlefield. Not a street fight or a supervillain brawl, but an actual war zone stretching across rocky terrain as far as he could see. Laser fire, not bullets, lasers, streaked through the air in red and blue bolts. Explosions erupted across the landscape, and the combatants, on one side, soldiers in white armor moved with military precision, firing rifles that shot energy instead of bullets. They were human-shaped but identical, their movements synchronized in ways that seemed almost robotic. On the other side, actual robots, skeletal, tan-colored machines carrying blasters, marching in endless waves toward the white armored troops. "Okay," Peter breathed, his voice muffled by his mask. Definitely not Kansas anymore, or New York, or Earth, probably. His spider sense flared. Behind him, left, now, and he backflipped instinctively as a bolt of red energy sizzled through the space his head had occupied. He landed on a rock formation sticking effortlessly to the vertical surface and spotted the source. A squad of those skeletal robots had noticed his arrival and decided he was a target. "Hey, whoa, I just got here," Spider-Man called out, leaping away as more blaster fire converged on his position. "Is this how you greet all your tourists? 1-star review, definitely not recommending this planet." The robots didn't respond to his quips. Rude. He webbed 2 of them together, thwip, thwip, and swung their tangled forms into a third, sending all 3 crashing into a rock. More advanced, and they'd adjusted their aim, tracking his movement with mechanical precision. His spider sense kept him 1 step ahead. But there were a lot of them, and his web fluid wasn't infinite. "Conservation mode," he told himself. "You don't know when you'll get a refill." A massive explosion nearby sent shockwaves through the ground, and Peter looked up to see something that finally broke through his crisis management focus. People were dying. The white armored soldiers were being overrun, their defensive line crumbling as the robot army pushed forward. He watched one soldier take a blast to the chest and fall, another dragging a wounded comrade behind cover while firing one-handed. They were losing. And they were definitely the more human-looking side. With great power comes great responsibility. Uncle Ben's voice, as always, cutting through the noise. Peter didn't know where he was, didn't know who was right or wrong in this fight, didn't know anything except that people, or at least people-shaped beings, were dying in front of him and he could help. That was enough. "All right, Tin Can Army," Spider-Man muttered, launching himself toward the thickest concentration of robots. "Let's dance." He moved like nothing the Clone Wars had ever seen, flipping, spinning, bouncing between enemies with an acrobatic grace that made Jedi look stiff. His webs weren't lightsabers, but they were effective, gunking up blaster barrels, tangling legs, yanking droids off balance so they shot each other. He punched through a droid's chest plate, kicked another's head clean off, used a third as a springboard to launch himself over the squad and land behind their lines. "Your head's on backward," he called to a droid he'd spun around. "Actually, that might be an improvement. Hard to tell with you guys." The clone troopers noticed. "What the CT-7567? Are you seeing this?" One trooper called over comms, his voice carrying the strange accent they all seemed to share. "I see it. I don't believe it, but I see it." The trooper designated CT-7567, Captain Rex, watched through his helmet's enhanced optics as the figure in red and blue dismantled a droid squad with nothing but physical combat and some kind of adhesive webbing. "Command, we have an unknown on the field. Humanoid, enhanced abilities, currently engaging Separatist forces. Appears to be friendly, but I can't confirm identity or allegiance." "Copy, Rex. Generals Kenobi and Skywalker are inbound. Hold position and observe." Holding position, Rex kept his rifle trained in Spider-Man's general direction, not quite aiming at him, but ready. In his experience, unknowns in combat zones were rarely good news, no matter how many droids they smashed. Spider-Man fought his way to the clone defensive line, droids falling in his wake. He landed in a crouch next to a trooper who'd taken cover behind a destroyed vehicle, the soldier's white armor scorched but intact. "Hey there, I'm Spider-Man. Friendly neighborhood. Well, I guess not your neighborhood, but I'm friendly. Mostly. What's the situation?" The trooper stared at him through his helmet's visor. "The situation is we're getting overrun. Who are you? Where did you come from?" Complicated question. Short answer, New York, but I don't think that's a place here. Longer answer involves dimensional rifts and probably physics that would make both our heads hurt. Spider-Man's head snapped to the right, spider sense, and he grabbed the trooper, yanking them both behind better cover as a rocket exploded where they'd been standing. "Okay, how about this? I help you not die, and then we figure out the complicated stuff after." The trooper, his armor designated him as Sergeant Korik, hesitated only a moment before nodding. "Works for me. We need to hold this ridge until reinforcements arrive. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, I can do 10 minutes. Spider-Man cracked his knuckles. "What are those robots? What's their deal?" "Battle droids. Separatist army. Stupid individually, but there's a lot of them. Stupid I can work with. Numbers are trickier." Peter assessed the battlefield, his tactical mind already working. "You've got high ground, but they're flanking left. If they get around that rock formation, you're done. I can plug that gap. One man against... Trust me, Sergeant, I'm very pluggy." Before Korik could respond, Spider-Man launched himself toward the left flank, web-swinging from rock spires and ruins with a speed that made the clones' heads turn. He landed in the gap just as a droid squad pushed through, and for the next 8 minutes he became a one-man army. Not killing, he didn't kill, that was a line, but destroying. Droids weren't people, they were machines, and machines he could break without moral crisis. He tore through them with everything he had. His spider sense turning blaster fire into a game of deadly dodgeball he always won. When his web fluid ran low, he improvised, using droid arms as clubs, throwing rocks with superhuman strength, even biting through cables when things got desperate. He was holding, barely, but holding, And then the reinforcements arrived. Not more clones, but something else. 2 figures dropped from a gunship, moving with a grace and speed that Peter's spider sense immediately flagged as dangerous. They carried glowing swords, one blue-green, and they cut through droids like a hot knife through butter. The weapons hummed and crackled, deflecting blaster bolts back at shooters, severing metal limbs with casual precision. Laser swords, Peter thought. Of course there are laser swords. Within minutes, the droid assault broke. The machines retreated, their tactical programming recognizing a lost cause. The clone troopers cheered, and Spider-Man allowed himself a moment to breathe. Hands on his knees, chest heaving. Then the 2 laser sword warriors approached him, and Peter's spider sense gave a low warning hum. Not immediate danger, but caution. These 2 were powerful, really powerful. "Well," said the older one, a bearded man with kind eyes and a cultured voice that reminded Peter of his English teacher. "This is unexpected. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are?" Peter straightened, trying to project confidence despite being exhausted, confused, and very far from home. "Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood hero, and I have no idea where I am or how I got here." He paused, then added, "But I'm pretty sure I just saved your guys, so you're welcome." The younger one, intense eyes, a scar over his right eye, an energy that reminded Peter uncomfortably of himself on bad days, ignited his laser sword and pointed it at Peter's chest. "Or," Anakin Skywalker said coldly, "you're a Separatist weapon we've never seen before. Start talking now. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you." The blue blade hummed inches from Peter's chest, its heat palpable even through his suit. His spider sense buzzed constantly, not screaming immediate danger, but warning him that one wrong move would change that very quickly. "Anakin," Obi-Wan's voice carried gentle reproach. "He just saved Captain Rex's entire squad. Perhaps we could start with questions before threats." "He appeared out of nowhere in the middle of a battle," Anakin countered, his blade steady. "That's not coincidence, that's insertion. Separatists have been developing new infiltration tactics." "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Spider-Man raised his hands slowly, palms out. "I don't even know what a Separatist is. I mean, I can guess from context clues, probably those robot guys. But 5 minutes ago I was fighting a supervillain in Manhattan. Then a portal opened, I fell through, and now I'm here, wherever here is." "Manhattan," Obi-Wan repeated thoughtfully. "I'm not familiar with that system." "It's not a system, it's a borough in New York, on Earth." Peter saw their blank expressions and felt his stomach drop. "You don't know what Earth is." "Okay, that's fine, that's totally fine. I'm just in another galaxy or dimension or something. No big deal. Happens all the time, except it doesn't. This has literally never happened to me before." He was rambling. He rambled when he was nervous. Aunt May always said it would get him in trouble someday. Anakin's eyes narrowed. He could be lying. Wouldn't be the first time someone invented a cover story. "I can't sense any deception," Obi-Wan said slowly, his eyes unfocusing slightly as if listening to something Peter couldn't hear. "But I also can't sense anything. It's like he's not there, no Force presence whatsoever. That's impossible. Everything living has a Force presence. And yet," Obi-Wan stroked his beard, "lower your blade, Anakin. He's not a threat, at least not an immediate one." For a long moment, Anakin didn't move. Then, with obvious reluctance, he deactivated his lightsaber. The blade vanished with a sharp hiss, and Peter's spider sense quieted to a manageable hum. "Thanks," Peter said. "I really am one of the good guys. Where I come from, I protect people. That's what I do. I saw your soldiers in trouble and I helped. That's it. No conspiracy, no infiltration, just me being me." "And what exactly are you?" Anakin demanded. "Those abilities, the strength, the agility, the wall crawling, you're not human." "Actually, I am, mostly. I was bitten by a radioactive spider when I was 15. It changed me, gave me powers." Peter shrugged at their expressions. "Yeah, I know how it sounds. Trust me, living it was weirder." "A spider," Obi-Wan said carefully, as if testing whether the word meant what he thought it meant. "Hence the name, and the outfit, and the webs. It's a whole theme." Captain Rex approached, helmet removed to reveal a face that was identical to every other clone trooper Peter had seen. Strong jaw, brown eyes, close-cropped hair, but his expression was unique, cautious respect. The look of a soldier assessing a potential ally. "Generals, I can vouch for what he did out there. That gap in our left flank, we'd have been overrun without him. He moved faster than anything I've seen outside of you and Commander Tano, and he didn't kill a single man. Just droids." "Didn't kill?" Anakin's hostility shifted to confusion. "Why not?" Peter felt his shoulders tense. Here it was, the conversation he'd had 100 times with other heroes, with authorities, with people who thought his code made him weak. "Because I don't kill, period. That's my rule." "In a war?" Anakin's voice carried disbelief. "People are trying to kill you and you don't fight back." "I fight back, I just don't take lives. There's a difference. Not in my experience." "Then you need more experience." The words came out sharper than Peter intended, and he saw Anakin's jaw tighten. Obi-Wan stepped smoothly between them. "Perhaps we should continue this discussion somewhere less exposed. Our position is secure for now, but the Separatists will regroup." He gestured toward a gunship descending nearby. "Spider-Man, I'm going to ask you to come with us, not as a prisoner, as a guest. We have questions, and I suspect you do as well. The Jedi Council will want to meet you." "Jedi Council?" Peter asked. "We're Jedi," Obi-Wan explained. "Peacekeepers of the Galactic Republic. We use the Force, an energy field that binds all living things to maintain justice and protect the innocent." "So, space wizards," Anakin made a sound of disgust, but Obi-Wan smiled slightly. "That's one way to put it, I suppose." Peter considered his options. He was stranded in an unfamiliar galaxy. No way home, no resources, no allies. These Jedi seemed to be the closest thing to good guys in this conflict, and they had answers. Answers he desperately needed. "Okay," he said. "I'll come. But I want it on record that I'm cooperating voluntarily, and I'm keeping my mask on. Secret identity is kind of my thing." "Noted," Obi-Wan said. "Welcome to the Grand Army of the Republic, Spider-Man. Temporarily, at least." The gunship ride gave Peter his first real look at the scope of this war. Through the open bay doors, he saw the battlefield from above, a scarred landscape stretching for miles, craters and wreckage marking where engagements had occurred. Clone troopers moved in disciplined formations, securing positions, treating wounded, collecting fallen brothers. So many fallen. "How long has this war been going on?" Peter asked quietly. "Nearly 2 years," Rex answered. He stood near Peter, either guarding him or, Peter suspected, genuinely curious about the stranger who'd saved his men. The Separatists want to break away from the Republic. We're trying to hold the galaxy together. And all these soldiers, they're clones. Copies of one person? Rex's expression tightened. We're not copies. We're individuals. We just happen to share a face. Sorry, I didn't mean... Peter held up his hands. Where I come from, cloning people is science fiction. Seeing it for real is a lot. We're not science fiction. We're soldiers. We fight, we bleed, we die. Rex's voice carried an edge that Peter recognized, the defensiveness of someone used to being seen as less than human. Same as anyone. I believe you. Peter met the captain's eyes through his mask. I've been underestimated my whole career because of how I look, how I talk, how young I am. I know what it's like to have people see the surface and not the person. Something shifted in Rex's expression, not quite warmth, but the beginning of understanding. He nodded once and returned his attention to the passing terrain. They landed on a Republic cruiser in orbit, and Peter was escorted through corridors of gray metal and blue lighting. Everything was military, efficient, functional, designed for war. He saw more clone troopers, droids of various types, friendly ones apparently, and eventually a holographic communication chamber where Obi-Wan and Anakin made their report. Blue-tinted figures appeared on the holo projector. More Jedi, Peter assumed, based on their robes and bearing. A small green creature with enormous ears, a dark-skinned man with an intense gaze, others he didn't recognize. A dimensional traveler, the green one said, his voice carrying odd syntax. Heard of such things we have. Occurred they have not, in many centuries. He has no force presence whatsoever, Master Yoda. Obi-Wan reported, it's as if he exists outside the Force entirely, but he's not a void or a wound, simply absent. Curious this is, dangerous potentially. He saved clone lives, Anakin said reluctantly. I don't trust him, but he fought against the Separatists. Yet align with us his goals may not, the dark-skinned Jedi Mace Windu observed. What do you want, Spider-Man? Why should the Republic trust you? Peter stepped forward, addressing the Council directly. I want to go home. That's it. I have people who need me. An aunt, friends, a whole city I'm supposed to protect. I didn't ask to come here, and I don't want to stay. But until I find a way back, I'm not going to sit around while people die. That's not who I am. And if your way home requires you to act against the Republic, then we'll have a problem. But I don't see why it would. You guys seem like the good guys, are you? A long pause. Yoda's ears twitched. Try to be, we do. Always succeed, we do not. Complex war is. Yeah, Peter said quietly. I'm starting to get that. Windu leaned forward. We'll allow you to remain with Republic forces as an observer under Jedi supervision. You'll have limited access and freedom. In exchange, we expect cooperation and transparency. Agreed. It wasn't ideal, but it was better than a cell. Agreed, Peter said. But I have one condition. I don't kill. Not droids with the sophistication to think, not organics, not anyone. That's non-negotiable. In a war, Windu began. Non-negotiable, Peter repeated firmly. I've seen what happens when heroes compromise their principles for the greater good. It never ends well. I'll fight for you. I'll protect your people, but I won't become a killer. That's my line. The Council exchanged glances. Finally, Yoda nodded slowly. Respect your conviction, we can. Foolish it may prove, or wise. Time will tell. He fixed Peter with ancient eyes that seemed to see through his mask entirely. Assigned to General Skywalker's battalion, you will be. Learn much there, you will. About war, about yourself. Peter glanced at Anakin, who looked less than thrilled at the assignment. Great. A babysitter who already didn't like him. Thanks, Peter said to the council. I'll try not to cause too much trouble. As he left the chamber with Anakin, the young Jedi's voice was cold. You will cause trouble. People like you always do. People like me? Idealists. You think your principles matter more than victory. That kind of thinking gets soldiers killed. Peter stopped walking, forcing Anakin to face him. And what kind of thinking lets you sleep at night when you do kill? When you decide that some lives don't count? Anakin's eyes flashed with something dangerous, anger, pain, both, but he said nothing. He turned and walked away, leaving Peter alone in the corridor of a warship, surrounded by soldiers fighting a war he didn't understand. What did I get myself into? The 501st Legion was everything Peter expected from an elite military unit, and nothing like what he was used to. He'd worked with soldiers before, SHIELD agents, military liaisons during Avengers operations, but the clones were different. They moved with a synchronization that bordered on telepathic, anticipating each other's actions without verbal communication. Yet beneath that uniformity, Peter began to see what Rex had insisted upon. Individuality, personal touches on armor, blue paint patterns, small symbols, names scratched into plastoid, different voices, different humor, different ways of carrying themselves. They were people, millions of people with the same face, created for war, expected to die for a republic that saw them as resources rather than citizens. It made Peter's stomach turn. You're staring again, Ahsoka Tano said, appearing beside him in the mess hall. The young Togruta was Anakin's Padawan, apprentice in Jedi terms, and one of the few people on the ship who seemed genuinely curious about Peter, rather than suspicious or dismissive. Sorry, it's just... Peter gestured at the clones, eating, talking, laughing around them. Where I come from, every person is unique. Seeing so many people who look identical but aren't identical, it's messing with my head. They're not identical where it counts. Ahsoka sat across from him, her orange skin and blue-striped headtails marking her as distinctly alien yet somehow familiar. Teenager thrust into war, trying to prove herself while carrying impossible responsibility. Peter knew that story intimately. Rex fives, Jesse kicks. They're as different from each other as any regular people. You just have to look closer. I'm trying. Peter pushed around the ration pack in front of him. The food was edible but joyless. Nutrients and calories without any attempt at flavor. Can I ask you something personal? You can ask, might not answer. How old are you? Ahsoka's expression flickered, a brief vulnerability before her confidence reasserted itself. 16, 17 soon. Peter's chest tightened. He'd been 15 when the spider bit him. 16 when he faced down the Green Goblin, when Gwen... He shut that door in his mind. You're a kid, he said quietly. They have you fighting a war. I'm a Jedi. The defensiveness in her voice was familiar too. I trained my whole life for this. I can handle it. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying you shouldn't have to. Peter leaned forward. When I was your age, I was trying to save my neighborhood from muggers and car thieves. Small stuff. And it still almost broke me. You're fighting a galactic war with thousands of lives depending on your decisions. That's too much for anyone to carry alone. Ahsoka studied him with eyes that were older than her years. Do you carry it alone? Your neighborhood? I try not to, but yeah, sometimes, Peter admitted. It's hard to share the weight when no one else can do what you do. Then you understand. Ahsoka's voice softened. The Jedi are peacekeepers. We're not supposed to be soldiers. But the Republic needed us and we answered. Because if not us, who? If we don't fight, who protects the innocent? With great power comes great responsibility. Uncle Ben's words, in another voice, from another galaxy. I understand, Peter said. I just wish you had a choice. We all wish that. Ahsoka stood, her moment of openness closing. Come on, Master Skywalker wants to run combat assessments. He needs to know what you can do if you're going to fight alongside us. The training room was a large space with adjustable obstacles, holographic targets, and combat droids for sparring. Anakin waited with arms crossed, his impatience obvious. Let's make this quick. Show me your abilities, all of them. Okay, but fair warning, I'm going to make them look really cool. Peter cracked his knuckles and addressed the room's droid operator. Start with something easy, work up from there. The droids activated, training models with padded appendages and non-lethal weapons. Peter moved. To Anakin and Ahsoka, watching from the observation deck, it was like nothing they'd encountered. Spider-Man flowed through the combat droids with liquid grace, never stopping, never planting his feet for longer than a heartbeat. He bounced off walls, ceilings, droids themselves, using every surface as a springboard. His webs, shot from devices on his wrists, created instant trip lines, yanked droids off balance, bound them together in sticky masses. And through it all, he talked. On your left, oh, too slow. You know, for combat droids, you guys really need to work on your combat. Have you tried yoga? Great for flexibility. He never stops joking, Ahsoka observed. It's annoying, Anakin said, but his eyes tracked Spider-Man's movements with analytical intensity. He's faster than he should be. His reaction time is, look at that. The droid's blaster hasn't even fully charged and he's already dodging. Precognition? Something like it. But it's not the Force. Anakin's jaw tightened. I can't sense him at all. It's like he's a ghost. Peter finished the intermediate course in half the expected time, not even breathing hard. Okay, that was a warm-up. What's next? Anakin dropped from the observation deck, landing with the casual grace of someone who could cushion their fall with the Force. Me. Wait, you want to spar? Jedi versus Spider. I need to know what you can do against someone who fights back. Anakin ignited his lightsaber, the blue blade humming to life. Don't worry, I'll use training settings. It'll sting, not burn. Oh, good. I love being stung. Really looking forward to this. They circled each other. Peter's spider sense provided a constant stream of information. Anakin's muscle tension, his weight distribution, the micro movements that telegraphed attacks. The Jedi was fast, skilled, and had the Force enhancing his already impressive physical abilities. But Peter had been fighting superhuman opponents since he was 15. Anakin struck, a lightning-fast slash that would have bisected anyone without enhanced reflexes. Peter bent backward at an impossible angle, the blade passing inches above his chest, then sprang off his hands into a kick that Anakin barely blocked with his forearm. Not bad, Anakin admitted. I get that a lot. They clashed again and again. Anakin's lightsaber was a blur, but Peter's spider sense made it almost predictable. He knew where the blade would be before Anakin did. He dodged, weaved, counterattacked with punches and kicks that the Jedi deflected or absorbed through Force-enhanced durability. Neither could land a decisive blow. You're holding back, Anakin accused. pressing forward with a combination that would have overwhelmed most opponents. So are you. Peter caught Anakin's wrist, stopping a slash mid-swing. His strength surprised the Jedi. Peter could feel it in the sudden tension. You've got telekinesis, right? The Force push thing? Haven't used it once. I'm testing your combat skills, not trying to kill you. And I'm trying not to break your arm. See? We're both being polite. Anakin disengaged, stepping back. His expression had shifted, less hostile, more intrigued. Where did you learn to fight like that? Your style is unorthodox, self-taught. Mostly, I learned the basics from whoever would teach me, then adapted everything for my powers. Peter lowered his fists. I've been doing this since I was 15. That's 7 years of figuring out how to beat people who are stronger, faster, or better armed than me. I improvise. It's kind of my thing. Improvisation gets you killed. Improvisation keeps me alive. Structure's great until the plan falls apart. Then you need someone who can think on their feet. Peter shrugged. Or on walls or ceilings, I'm flexible. Ahsoka jumped down to join them, her expression eager. Can I try? Ahsoka, Anakin began. You said I need more practice against unconventional opponents. He's about as unconventional as it gets. Peter looked at the teenager, younger than him when he started, already a veteran of 2 years of war. Your call, General. Anakin hesitated, then nodded. Fine, but keep it light. Sparring with Ahsoka was different than Anakin. She was faster, more acrobatic, using 2 lightsabers in a style that emphasized mobility over power. Peter found himself working harder to keep up. She fought more like him than Anakin did, and that made her dangerous. You're good, he said, dodging a dual slash by inches. Really good. I know. She grinned, a flash of teenage cockiness that made Peter smile beneath his mask. But you're holding back more than you did with Anakin. I don't like fighting kids. I'm not a kid. I'm a commander. You can be both. That earned him a kick to the ribs that he didn't dodge in time. His spider sense had warned him, but he'd hesitated. He stumbled back, wheezing. Point taken, he coughed. Commander Tano. She helped him up, her grin widening. You're not bad yourself. For someone without the Force. I get by. The training session ended with Peter earning grudging respect from Anakin and genuine enthusiasm from Ahsoka. More importantly, he'd learned how the Jedi fought, their techniques, their reliance on the Force for precognition and enhancement. It was different from his powers, but parallel. They were tapping into something external. His abilities were internal, but the results were similar. Maybe I'm not as outclassed here as I thought. Later, in the quarters he'd been assigned, small, sparse, military, Peter sat on his bunk and thought about his situation. Stranded in another galaxy, no way home that anyone knew of. A war raging that had nothing to do with him, but was killing people by the thousands every day. Jedi who treated him as curiosity at best, threat at worst. Clone soldiers who'd been bred for combat and given no choice in their existence. And somewhere out there, Aunt May wondering where he was. MJ trying to reach him. New York unprotected. I have to get back. I have to. But until then, he thought of Rex and his men, fighting and dying for a republic that didn't see them as people. He thought of Ahsoka, 16 years old, and carrying the weight of command. He thought of all the lives being lost while the galaxy tore itself apart. Spider-Man couldn't end this war, but maybe he could save some people along the way. With great power comes great responsibility, even here, even in a galaxy that wasn't his. Okay, Uncle Ben, Peter whispered to the empty room. I hear you. Count Dooku received the intelligence report in his private chambers on Sereno, the elegant room a stark contrast to the brutal war he orchestrated. The hollow projection showed combat footage from the recent engagement, Republic forces holding a position they should have lost, clone casualties far below projections, and at the center of it all, a figure in red and blue moving with impossible agility. Fascinating, Dooku murmured, watching Spider-Man dismantle a droid squad with nothing but physical prowess and adhesive webbing. What do we know about this creature? Very little, my lord. The tactical droid's monotone voice carried across the chamber. Initial analysis suggests enhanced humanoid, origin unknown. No matching species in Republic or Separatist databases. Combat capabilities exceed standard Jedi parameters in speed and agility, though he employs no lightsaber or apparent force abilities. No force presence. None detected. He appears invisible to all force-based scanning. Dooku stroked his silver beard thoughtfully. A being outside the Force. That alone made the creature valuable or dangerous. Palpatine's machinations relied heavily on his ability to sense and manipulate through the Force. An unknown variable immune to such perception could disrupt carefully laid plans, which meant Dooku needed to control that variable before his master decided to eliminate it. "Send Ventress," he ordered. "I want this Spider-Man captured alive if possible. If not," he let the implication hang, "and if the Jedi interfere, then Ventress will remind them why they should fear the dark." 3 days after the training session, Spider-Man got his first real taste of Clone Wars combat. The mission was supposed to be reconnaissance, a small team inserting onto a Separatist-controlled moon to gather intelligence on a new droid factory. Anakin led the squad, himself, Ahsoka, Rex, and a handful of troopers from the 501st. Spider-Man was brought along as a field test. "Stay close, follow orders, don't do anything stupid," Anakin had instructed before they landed. "Define stupid," Peter replied. The Jedi's expression suggested he was already regretting this. They'd made it halfway to the target when everything went wrong. "Contact!" Rex's voice crackled over comms. "Multiple hostiles converging on our position. Commando droids. Not standard B1s. Commando droids were the elite units, faster, smarter, and far more lethal than the skeletal cannon fodder Peter had faced before. They emerged from concealment with military precision, flanking the squad and cutting off retreat. "It's an ambush," Anakin growled, igniting his lightsaber. "They knew we were coming." "How?" Ahsoka asked, her own blade springing to life. "Worry about that later, right now." Peter's spider sense screamed. He moved on pure instinct, tackling Rex to the ground as a red lightsaber blade sliced through the air where the captain's head had been. The attacker landed in their midst, a pale woman with a shaved head and facial tattoos, twin crimson sabers spinning in her hands, her smile sharp as a knife. "Ventress," Anakin spat. "Hello, Skywalker. Miss me?" Asajj Ventress surveyed the trapped squad with predatory satisfaction. The Separatists send their regards and their curiosity, her yellow eyes fixed on Peter. "So you're the mysterious newcomer. Count Dooku is very interested in meeting you." "Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that." Peter sprang to his feet, positioning himself between Ventress and the clones. "I've met enough bad guys to recognize the aesthetic. Evil really loves the color red, huh?" "Jokes?" Ventress twirled her sabers lazily. "How refreshing. Most of my opponents just scream." "Give him time," Anakin said grimly. "Ahsoka, protect the men. Spider-Man." I've got her." Anakin shot him a look. "You can't fight a Sith assassin." "Watch me." Peter launched himself at Ventress before anyone could argue. He'd fought enhanced humans, aliens, and demigods. He'd traded blows with people who could level buildings and survived encounters that should have killed him a dozen times over. But Asajj Ventress was something new. A Force user fully committed to killing him with none of the Jedi's restraint. Her blades were everywhere, a whirlwind of red death that his spider sense barely kept ahead of. He dodged, twisted, bent at angles that would break a normal spine, and still she nearly tagged him twice in the first 5 seconds. "Impressive," Ventress purred, pressing her assault. "You move like a Jedi, but fight like an animal. What are you?" "Spider-Man." He caught her wrist, halting a killing stroke, and headbutted her hard enough to crack a normal skull. She staggered back, more surprised than hurt. "And you're starting to annoy me." He webbed her sabers, trying to yank them away, but she released them willingly and used the Force to pull them back to her hands instantly. The moment of distraction cost him. She slammed a telekinetic blast into his chest that sent him flying into a rock formation. "Okay," Peter thought, wheezing, "Force powers. Right, should have remembered those." Anakin engaged Ventress before she could press the advantage, his blue blade meeting her red in a shower of sparks. Ahsoka joined him, and suddenly it was 2 Jedi against 1 assassin. Better odds, but Ventress was holding her own, laughing as she dueled them both. "Rex, get the men to cover," Peter ordered, pulling himself up. "I'll help the Jedi." "You're not in command." "No, but I'm the only one here who can take a hit from her and get back up. Move." Rex hesitated only a moment before nodding. "You heard him. Fall back to defensive positions, covering fire on those commando droids." The clones retreated in disciplined order, laying down suppressive fire that kept the commando droids at bay. Peter turned his attention back to the lightsaber duel. Ventress was being pushed back, but not beaten, her defensive style conserving energy while Anakin burned hot with aggressive strikes. "She's stalling," Peter realized, waiting for something. His spider sense confirmed it. Danger approaching, not from Ventress, but from above. "Incoming!" he shouted, just as a Separatist gunship roared over the ridge, cannons blazing. The world became chaos. Explosions tore across the battlefield, scattering clone troopers and Jedi alike. Peter webbed Rex and pulled him out of a blast radius, feeling the heat singe his suit. Ahsoka deflected cannon fire with her sabers but was driven back. Anakin was down, not dead. Peter could see him moving but hurt, his left arm hanging wrong, his lightsaber knocked away by the concussive force. Ventress stood over him, blades raised for the kill. Peter didn't think, he just moved. He crossed the distance in 3 bounds, hitting Ventress from the side with enough force to send them both tumbling. They rolled apart and came up fighting, her sabers against his webs and fists. A brutal close-quarters exchange that left no room for quips or banter. She was better with the Force. He was better without it. "You can't win," Ventress hissed, slashing at his throat. "You're nothing. No force, no power, just meat and reflexes." "Meat and reflexes got me this far." Peter ducked the slash, landed 3 rapid punches to her ribs, then backflipped away from her retaliatory force push. "And I've beaten better than you." "Have you?" Her smile turned cruel. "Let's test that." She reached out with the Force, not at Peter, but at the wounded clones nearby. 3 troopers rose into the air, clutching their throats, choking. "Put down your webs and surrender, or I crush their windpipes." "Your choice, hero." Peter froze. He looked at the clones, Hardcase, Kix, a trooper whose name he hadn't learned, struggling in Ventress's invisible grip, their armored fingers scrabbling uselessly at their throats. He looked at Ventress, her yellow eyes gleaming with triumph. She's got me. He couldn't reach her before she killed them, couldn't web her hands without her reflexively clenching, couldn't save them through force, but maybe he could save them through sacrifice. "Okay," Peter said quietly. "You win. I surrender." "Spider-Man, no." Ahsoka's voice, desperate. "Let them go and I'll come with you. No tricks. That's the deal." Ventress studied him, searching for deception. Whatever she saw satisfied her. She released the clones, who dropped to the ground, gasping. Peter raised his hands and stepped forward. "Spider-Man!" Anakin struggled to rise, his voice tight with pain and something else. Frustration at being saved by someone he didn't trust. "Get them out of here," Peter said without looking back. "I'll be fine. You'll be dead, or worse. Probably, but they'll be alive." Peter managed a small smile beneath his mask. "That's kind of the point." Ventress grabbed his arm, her grip bruisingly strong, and signaled her gunship. "Count Dooku will be so pleased." A new specimen for his collection. As he was dragged toward the descending ship, Peter caught Ahsoka's eyes. The young Togruta looked stricken, angry and scared and guilty all at once. "It's okay," he tried to convey. "I made my choice." Then the gunship doors closed, and Spider-Man was a prisoner of the Separatists. Dooku's flagship was cold, dark, and reeked of the same oppressive energy Peter associated with the worst villains he'd faced. Kingpin's arrogance, Osborn's madness, but refined into something ancient and cultured. The Count of Sereno waited in his private chamber, hands clasped behind his back, studying Peter with the detachment of a scientist examining a specimen. "So," Dooku said, his voice smooth as silk over steel, "you're the anomaly. I prefer Spider-Man, or Peter if we're being casual. Are we being casual? I feel like we're not." "Humor as a defense mechanism. How predictable." Dooku circled him slowly. "You have no force presence. You appeared from nowhere. You possess abilities that defy conventional explanation. Tell me, Spider-Man, what are you?" "Already did this routine with the Jedi. Can we skip to the part where you monologue about your evil plan?" Dooku's smile was thin and cold. "I don't monologue, I offer. The Jedi are using you, a tool to be discarded when convenient. The Republic cares nothing for individuals, only the state. But the Separatists, we value talent, power. We could give you resources to return home. All you need to do is share what you know." Peter had heard this pitch before too. Different villains, same temptation. Hard pass. "You haven't heard my terms. Don't need to. I've seen what your side does. Droid armies slaughtering civilians, assassins choking wounded soldiers. Whatever you're selling, I'm not buying." Dooku's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. The patience of a predator deciding its prey wasn't worth the effort. "Pity, I had hoped you'd be reasonable." He gestured and Ventress emerged from the shadows. "Extract what information you can. If he survives the process, we'll find another use for him." Ventress smiled. "With pleasure." "Okay," Peter thought as she approached. "This is going to hurt." Pain was an old friend to Peter Parker. He'd been beaten by the Green Goblin, thrown through buildings by Rhino, electrocuted by Electro, and poisoned by half a dozen different villains with chemistry degrees. He knew how to compartmentalize agony, how to retreat into a corner of his mind where the hurt became abstract, data to be processed rather than sensation to be experienced. Ventress was making that very difficult. "Your tolerance is impressive," she observed, circling him in the interrogation chamber. He was restrained, not by chains, but by a force grip that held him spread-eagled against a cold metal wall. Every few minutes she would twist that grip, sending fire through his joints. And every few minutes he would crack another joke instead of screaming. Most break within the first hour. We're on hour 3. What can I say? I'm stubborn. Peter's voice was hoarse, his body trembling with exhaustion and pain. Also, your technique needs work. I've had hangovers worse than this. Lies. But there was a flicker of uncertainty in her yellow eyes. She'd never encountered someone who could resist force-enhanced interrogation through sheer willpower. Tell me about your abilities. How were they created? Can they be replicated? Radioactive spider, freak accident, not replicable. All true, technically. Peter had learned long ago that the best way to resist interrogation was to tell the truth selectively, give them facts that were useless without context. Sorry to disappoint. Ventress leaned close, her breath hot against his ear. I could make you tell me everything, rip the knowledge from your mind piece by piece, but Dooku wants you intact, for now. So I'll ask one more time. What can you give us that's worth keeping you alive? Peter met her eyes through his mask. Nothing. I've got nothing you want. I'm just a guy from another universe who got dropped into your war by accident. I don't know military secrets. I don't have special technology. I'm not a weapon you can point at the Republic. I'm just me. Then you're useless. Story of my life. Ventress stepped back, irritation flickering across her features. Fine. If you won't cooperate, I'll find other ways to amuse myself. She ignited one lightsaber, letting the red blade hum centimeters from his face. Let's see how your healing factor handles burns. Peter's spider sense screamed, and then the ship shook. Alarms blared throughout the corridor. Ventress spun toward the door as explosions echoed from somewhere deeper in the vessel. Her comm crackled with panicked droid voices. Republic forces engaging, multiple Jedi signatures detected, hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Impossible, Ventress snarled. How did they find us? Peter laughed, a painful, ragged sound, but genuine. Let me guess, you underestimated them. Villains always do. Ventress shot him a murderous look, then deactivated her saber and stormed toward the door. Stay here and die, or stay here and wait for me to kill you personally. Your choice. Great options. Love the hospitality. She was gone, leaving Peter alone in the interrogation chamber, still restrained by the Force grip, but with the torturer distracted. He tested his bonds, pushing against the invisible pressure. It held. Whatever technique she'd used, it wasn't concentration dependent. Okay, plan B. He looked around the chamber, cataloging everything with his scientist's eye. Control panels, restraint systems, power conduits running through the walls. The Force grip was holding him in place, but it was anchored to something. Probably a device that maintained the field when the user left. There, a small apparatus on the wall, pulsing with energy. Peter couldn't reach it with his hands, but he still had his web shooters. He angled his wrist carefully, calculating trajectory despite the awkward position. One shot. If he missed, he'd be out of fluid with nothing to show for it. Don't miss. He fired. The web line struck the device dead center, and Peter yanked with everything he had. The apparatus tore from the wall in a shower of sparks. And suddenly he was falling, the force grip dissipating as its anchor was destroyed. He hit the ground hard but rolled to his feet instantly. Every muscle ached, his body screaming for rest, but rest wasn't an option. He had to move. The corridors were chaos. Battle droids rushing toward the fighting, crew members shouting orders, the ship shuddering from continued impacts. Peter moved through it like a ghost, using his agility to bypass patrols, his spider sense to avoid detection. He needed to find the Republic boarding party before Ventress found him. He turned a corner and ran directly into General Grievous. The cyborg towered over him, a hunched skeletal figure of metal and organic parts, 4 arms unfolding from his torso, each hand igniting a stolen lightsaber. His eyes burned with hatred in a skull-like mask, and his voice was a rasping mechanical growl. The prisoner escaping. Grievous stepped forward, sabers spinning. Count Dooku will be disappointed, but I will enjoy adding your corpse to my collection. Peter's spider sense went haywire. This thing was dangerous, maybe more dangerous than Ventress. 4 lightsabers meant 4 times the death coming at him from impossible angles, no room for error. Okay, wow, you're terrifying. Just objectively. Has anyone told you that? Because you should know. Peter backed away, slowly looking for escape routes. Listen, I don't want to fight you. I do not care what you want. Grievous attacked. 4 blades came at Peter in a coordinated assault that would have killed any normal being instantly. But Peter wasn't normal. He was faster than human, more agile than anything the Clone Wars had produced. And his spider sense gave him just enough warning to survive. Duck, jump, twist, move. He dodged the first combination by millimeters, feeling the heat of the blades as they passed. He tried to counterattack, landing a punch on Grievous's torso, but the metal chassis absorbed the impact without effect. Your strength is impressive, Grievous admitted, pressing forward, but strength means nothing against superior weaponry. Yeah, I've heard that before, usually right before I win. Peter webbed 2 of the lightsabers, trying to yank them away. But Grievous simply let them go and reignited his remaining 2, the fallen weapons flying back to his hands through some magnetic or mechanical recall system. Can't disarm him, can't hurt him, can't outrun 4 lightsabers in an enclosed space. Peter was in trouble. A blade grazed his shoulder, burning through his suit and searing the skin beneath. He bit back a scream, rolling away from the follow-up strike, his injured arm hanging uselessly, another cut across his thigh, shallow but painful. Grievous was hurting him, wearing him down, enjoying the hunt. You fight well for a creature without the Force, the general rasped. But you are merely delaying the inevitable. Surrender, and I will make your death quick. Pass. Peter's voice was strained, his vision blurring at the edges. I don't do inevitable. He needed a new strategy. Grievous was too fast, too well-armed, too durable for direct combat. But he was also arrogant, showboating with his 4-saber technique instead of just killing Peter efficiently. Use that. Peter stopped retreating. He planted his feet and raised his fists, putting everything he had into looking like he was about to make a last stand. Grievous took the bait. He lunged forward, all 4 blades converging for the kill, and Peter dropped flat, firing both web shooters at the ceiling above Grievous's head. The webs hit a power conduit he'd spotted earlier, tearing it open. Electricity arced down, striking Grievous's metal body with thousands of volts. The cyborg convulsed, his lightsabers deactivating as his systems overloaded, and Peter scrambled away as the general collapsed in a sparking heap. Not dead. Peter could see his organic parts still twitching, but down. "Told you," Peter gasped, clutching his wounded shoulder. "Inevitable isn't really my thing." He staggered down the corridor, leaving Grievous behind. The fighting was getting closer. He could hear lightsabers clashing, blaster fire, the shouts of clone troopers, the Republic boarding party. He rounded a corner and found them, Anakin and Ahsoka cutting through battle droids, Rex and a squad of 500 first troopers providing cover fire. They were pushing toward the detention level, toward him. "Hey," Peter called out weakly, "looking for me?" Ahsoka spun, her expression shifting from combat focus to shocked relief. "Spider-Man, you're alive!" Mostly. He leaned against the wall, his legs threatening to give out. Little singed, little stabbed, but yeah, alive. Anakin approached, his eyes scanning Peter's injuries with something that might have been concern beneath the tactical assessment. "Can you move?" "Define move." "We need to get off this ship before Separatist reinforcements arrive. That means running, jumping, and probably fighting." "Can you do that?" Peter pushed himself upright, ignoring his body's screams of protest. "Yeah, I can do that." Anakin studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Stay in the middle of the formation. Rex, get him a blaster." "I don't," Peter started. "Set to stun. You can knock droids out without killing anyone. That work for you?" Peter took the offered weapon, surprised by Anakin's accommodation. "Yeah, that works." "Then let's move. Ventress is still on this ship, and I don't want to be here when she stops playing with the diversionary team." They fought their way back through the cruiser, Jedi in front cutting a path, clones laying down suppressive fire, Spider-Man in the middle doing what he could with his injured body and unfamiliar weapon. It wasn't elegant, but it was effective. They reached the hangar where their shuttle waited, piling aboard as Anakin deflected blaster bolts from pursuing droids. "Go, go, go!" Rex shouted to the pilot. The shuttle lifted off, screaming out of the hangar and into open space. Peter collapsed into a seat, his adrenaline finally fading, the pain and exhaustion hitting him all at once. Ahsoka sat beside him, her young face tight with worry. "Medical team's waiting on the Resolute. You're going to be okay." "I know." Peter managed a weak smile beneath his mask. "Just need a minute." "You held off Grievous." "Grievous. Nobody does that and walks away." "I got lucky. Found a power conduit." "You made your own luck." Ahsoka's voice carried admiration and something else. Respect, maybe, or the beginning of real friendship. "That's what you do, isn't it? Find a way when there isn't one." Peter thought about that. About all the times he'd beaten enemies stronger than him through cleverness and determination, about the responsibility he carried and the lines he wouldn't cross. "I try," he said quietly. "I don't always succeed, but I try." Ahsoka nodded slowly. "That's more than most people do." As the shuttle flew toward the Republic fleet, Peter felt something shift in his chest. Not the pain of his injuries, but something else. A sense of belonging, maybe. Purpose. He was still stranded in another galaxy, still desperate to get home. But maybe while he was here, he could make a difference. Maybe he could be Spider-Man, even in the Clone Wars. Recovery in a Bacta tank was, Peter decided, one of the weirdest experiences of his life. And he'd been bonded to an alien symbiote. The viscous blue liquid surrounded him completely, breathing apparatus keeping him alive while the healing agents did their work. His wounds closed faster than they should have, accelerated by both the Bacta and his own healing factor. Within 12 hours, he was out of the tank, and back on his feet, the lightsaber burns reduced to pink scars that would fade within days. "Your cellular regeneration is remarkable," the medical droid observed, scanning him with clinical detachment. "The Bacta enhanced an already accelerated healing process. You should be combat ready within 24 hours. "Great, love being combat ready. That's definitely what I want to hear." He found Anakin in one of the Resolute's workshops, the Jedi surrounded by mechanical parts and tools, his hands buried in the guts of a disabled commando droid. Anakin looked up as Peter entered, his expression guarded but less hostile than before. "You're up. Medical said you'd be out for at least a day." "I heal fast." Peter leaned against the doorframe, watching Anakin work. "What are you doing to that thing?" "Reprogramming its combat algorithms, trying to understand how they adapt to unconventional opponents." Anakin's eyes flicked to Peter meaningfully. "You gave Grievous trouble. That doesn't happen. I want to know why." "Electricity. His body's mostly mechanical. I overloaded his systems with a power conduit." "That's the how. I want to know the why. How did you think of it?" "In the middle of a fight with 4 lightsabers coming at you, how did you notice a power conduit and calculate how to use it?" Peter shrugged. "I'm a scientist. I see problems. I find solutions. That's how my brain works." Anakin set down his tools, studying Peter with new interest. "You're a scientist?" "Was. Am. I have degrees in biochemistry and engineering. Built my web shooters myself, along with a lot of other tech." Peter held up his wrist, showing the device. "These aren't magic. They're mechanical. Pressure-triggered release system, adjustable nozzle for different web patterns, chemical compound I developed that mimics spider silk at 20 times the tensile strength." "You invented that?" "I was 15. Needed something to fight bad guys with, and punching only gets you so far." Anakin's expression shifted, still guarded, but with something like recognition beneath it. "I built my first droid when I was 4, built a pod racer by 9. I know what it's like to create things that everyone says are impossible." "Then you know why I do it, because possible is just a word people use when they don't want to try." For the first time since they'd met, Anakin smiled, a small, genuine expression that transformed his intense features. "I might have misjudged you, Spider-Man." "Peter, my name's Peter Parker. The mask it's for protecting people I care about, but you've earned the real name." "Peter." Anakin nodded slowly. "I'm Anakin, just Anakin. The Skywalker thing gets old." They shook hands, a simple gesture that felt like a bridge being built. Then Anakin gestured to the workbench. "Want to help me with this? I could use someone who thinks like an engineer instead of a soldier." Peter moved to the bench, examining the droid's exposed systems. "What are you trying to achieve?" "Counter-programming. If I can understand how they adapt to Jedi combat techniques, I can develop training protocols to stay ahead of their learning curve." "That's actually smart. Most people would just try to build a bigger weapon." "Bigger weapons are Separatist thinking. We need to be smarter, not stronger." Anakin handed him a hydrospanner. "You know anything about droid architecture?" "No, but I know programming logic and mechanical systems. Should translate." They worked together for hours, falling into an easy rhythm that surprised them both. Anakin explained the droid systems. Peter applied principles from his own universe's technology. They argued about approaches, tested theories, failed, and tried again. It was the most normal Peter had felt since arriving. Just 2 engineers solving a problem. "Can I ask you something?" Peter said during a break. "You can ask." The Jedi, they're not supposed to have attachments, right? No family, no relationships, no emotional connections. Anakin's hand stilled on the droid. That's the code. But you don't follow it, I can tell. Peter kept his voice neutral, non-judgmental. You care about Ahsoka, about Rex and the clones, about other people. For a long moment, Anakin didn't respond. When he spoke, his voice was quiet. I care about a lot of things I'm not supposed to. The Council thinks attachment leads to the dark side. Fear of loss becomes anger. Anger becomes hate. They're not wrong. I've felt that pull. But you don't think attachment itself is the problem? I think Anakin chose his words carefully. I think the Jedi are afraid of emotion because they don't know how to handle it. They suppress instead of process. They detach instead of engage. And that makes them blind to things they should see. Like what? Anakin looked at him directly. Like the fact that the clones are slaves. Bred for war, no rights, no choices, no future beyond fighting and dying. The Jedi use them every day and never question it, because questioning would mean feeling something about it. Peter felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's climate control. You've thought about this a lot. I was a slave. Before the Jedi found me, I was property. I know what it's like to have no control over your own life. Anakin's jaw tightened. The clones deserve better, but nobody wants to talk about it because the war needs them. And if we start treating them like people instead of resources, we might have to actually deal with what we've done. What about after the war? There won't be an after, not for most of them. That's the point. They sat in heavy silence. Peter thought about Rex, Korik, all the clones who'd fought beside him. Identical faces, but individual souls, created for a purpose they'd never chosen, destined to die for a republic that didn't see them as citizens. That's not okay, Peter said finally. No, it's not. Then what do we do about it? Anakin laughed, a bitter sound. We? There's no we. The Jedi Council won't listen. The Senate doesn't care. And I'm just one knight with opinions that make the Masters uncomfortable. One knight with a lot of power and a louder voice than you think. Peter leaned forward. Where I come from, change starts with people who refuse to accept that things have to stay the way they are. It starts with one person saying this is wrong and not shutting up about it. And does that work in your universe? Sometimes. Not always. But it works more often than doing nothing. Anakin studied him for a long moment. Whatever he saw must have satisfied him because he nodded slowly. You really believe that, don't you? That one person can make a difference. I have to believe it. Otherwise, what's the point? Before Anakin could respond, the workshop door opened and Ahsoka entered, her expression urgent. Master, we've got new orders. The Council wants us at Ryloth. Separatists are moving on the capital city. Full-scale assault. Anakin was on his feet instantly. The philosophical conversation shelved for another time. How long? We're already en route. Briefing in 20 minutes. I'll be there. Anakin turned to Peter. This is going to be bad. Urban combat, civilian population, heavy droid presence. You don't have to come. Yes, I do. Peter stood, squaring his shoulders. I'm not sitting on a ship while people die. Your no-kill rule still applies, but droids aren't people, and I can do a lot of good protecting civilians and supporting troops without crossing that line. Anakin and Ahsoka exchanged glances. Some silent communication passed between Master and Padawan, and then Anakin nodded. All right, Peter, you're with us. But this isn't going to be like before. This is a major battle with thousands of lives at stake. I need to know you can handle it." Peter thought about everything he'd faced since arriving. The interrogation, Grievous, the deaths he'd witnessed and the ones he'd prevented. "I can handle it," he said. "That's what I do." The briefing painted a grim picture. Ryloth's capital city of Lesu was under siege. Separatist forces had established a blockade in orbit and landed a massive droid army to occupy the planet. The native Twi'lek population, hundreds of thousands of civilians, were trapped between advancing battle droids and brutal occupation forces. "Our objective is to break through the Separatist lines and reach the capital," Obi-Wan explained, gesturing at the holographic tactical display. "Once there, we'll link up with local resistance fighters and push the droids out of the city. But the assault won't be easy. They've fortified every approach." "What about civilian casualties?" Peter asked. "Our priority is minimizing them, but..." Obi-Wan hesitated. "War is not clean, Spider-Man. People will die despite our best efforts." "Then we make better efforts." Mace Windu's holographic image frowned. "Your idealism is noted but impractical. We deal in reality here." "With respect, General, my idealism has kept me alive against enemies who should have killed me a dozen times over. Impractical has a way of working when you refuse to accept the alternative." Windu looked unimpressed, but Anakin cut in before the tension could escalate. "Peter will be deployed with my team for civilian extraction and protection. He's fast, he's agile, and he doesn't need line of sight to take down droids. That's useful in urban environments." "Very well." Windu's tone suggested he was washing his hands of responsibility. "May the Force be with you all." The hologram faded, and Obi-Wan turned to Anakin. "You're vouching for him now. He earned it." Anakin's voice carried conviction. "I've seen what he can do and what he stands for. We can use both." "High praise from you." Obi-Wan's eyes twinkled with gentle amusement. "Don't let it go to your head, Peter. Anakin doesn't give compliments often." "I noticed." Peter allowed himself a small smile. "I'll try to live up to it." They spent the remaining transit time preparing, checking equipment, reviewing maps, coordinating with the clone units who would be fighting beside them. Peter studied the city layout, identifying evacuation routes, defensive positions, places where civilians might be trapped. This is it, he thought. Real war, real stakes, no safety net. He found Rex in the armory, the captain inspecting his men's gear with the meticulous attention of a leader who knew that small details meant life or death. "Captain, Spider-Man." Rex nodded acknowledgement. "Ready for Ryloth?" "Getting there. Can I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "Back on that moon, when Ventress had me, you came for me. The whole assault, the boarding action, that was a rescue mission. For me. Why?" Rex stopped what he was doing and faced Peter directly. "You surrendered yourself to save my men. 3 troopers who would have died if you hadn't given yourself up. We don't leave people behind, especially people who sacrifice for us. Even people you don't know. People who aren't part of your army. You saved clone lives. That makes you part of this." Rex's voice carried weight. "The Republic might not see us as people, but we know who we are, and we know who stands with us." Peter felt that shift in his chest again, the sense of belonging, of purpose. These soldiers, these clones, had more honor than most of the politicians who commanded them. "Thank you," he said quietly. Rex nodded once, then returned to his inspection. "Thank me after Ryloth." If we all survive, I'll buy you a drink." "I'm going to hold you to that." The Resolute dropped out of hyperspace into a war zone. Separatist ships filled the orbital approaches, trading fire with Republic cruisers in a dance of death that lit up the void. Gunships launched from hangar bays, carrying troops down through the gauntlet of anti-aircraft fire towards the planet below. Peter sat in the hold with Anakin, Ahsoka, Rex, and the 501st troopers who would be fighting beside him. The gunship shook with near misses, the pilot weaving through flak and laser fire with skill born of desperation. 30 seconds to landing zone, the pilot called back. Anakin ignited his lightsaber, the blue blade casting sharp shadows. Ahsoka followed suit. Rex chambered around in his rifle. The clones checked their weapons one final time. Peter flexed his fingers, feeling the web shooters on his wrists. Limited fluid, injured body, unfamiliar battlefield. Every reason to stay behind. But people were dying, people who needed help. With great power comes great responsibility. "Let's do this," Spider-Man said. The doors opened, and they plunged into hell. The aftermath of Ryloth brought something Peter hadn't expected. Recognition. Word spread through the Republic forces about the masked stranger who'd saved dozens of civilians during the battle, who'd single-handedly disabled a Separatist command post, who fought without killing and joked while dodging blaster fire. Clone troopers nodded to him in corridors. Jedi he'd never met asked Anakin about his abilities. Even the HoloNews networks picked up the story. Mysterious hero aids liberation of Ryloth, though they had few details beyond eyewitness accounts. "You're famous," Ahsoka teased him in the mess hall. "Slide in a datapad across the table. Look, they're calling you the Web Warrior." Very dramatic. "Great, I've been branded." Peter pushed the datapad away without reading it. "Back home, the newspapers called me a menace for years. This is different. Different good or different bad? Just different. I'm used to being misunderstood, not celebrated." Ahsoka studied him with those perceptive eyes. "You don't like the attention." "I don't do this for attention. I do it because it's right. When people start treating you like a symbol instead of a person, things get complicated." Peter thought of the pressure he'd felt in his own universe, the expectations, the impossible standards, the way every failure became a headline. "I just want to help. That should be enough." "It is enough. For the people who matter." Ahsoka smiled. "For what it's worth, we don't see you as a symbol. We see you as Peter, annoying jokes, reckless heroics, and all." "Annoying? My jokes are hilarious." "Keep telling yourself that." Chancellor Palpatine requested a private meeting. Peter's spider sense prickled when he received the summons. Not the sharp warning of immediate danger, but a low, persistent unease that he couldn't quite explain. He'd learned to trust that instinct over the years. It had saved his life more times than he could count. But refusing an audience with the Republic's leader would raise questions he couldn't answer. So he went. Palpatine's office in the Senate building was elegant and welcoming, warm lighting, comfortable furniture, a panoramic view of Coruscant's endless cityscape. The Chancellor himself was grandfatherly and soft-spoken, with kind eyes and a gentle smile that put visitors at ease. Peter's spider sense kept buzzing. "Spider-Man, thank you for coming." Palpatine gestured to a chair. "Please sit. I've heard remarkable things about your actions on Ryloth. You saved many lives." "Just doing what I could, Chancellor." Modesty, refreshing in these times. Palpatine settled into his own seat, his posture open and non-threatening. "I must admit, you fascinate me." a being from another universe possessing abilities that defy our understanding of the Force, yet choosing to fight for the Republic despite having no obligation to do so. Why? Because people were dying. That's reason enough. Is it? Many beings witness suffering and do nothing. They tell themselves it's not their responsibility, not their fight. But you threw yourself into a war you didn't start for people you'd never met. That suggests a deeper motivation. Peter chose his words carefully. Where I come from, I learned that power comes with responsibility. If you can help, you should. If you can save someone, you must. That's not philosophy, it's just basic decency. Basic decency. Palpatine's smile widened slightly. If only more beings felt that way, the galaxy would be a better place. But they don't, do they? Most people look out for themselves and let everyone else suffer. Sadly, yes. That's why individuals like you are so valuable. Palpatine leaned forward, his voice dropping to a confidential tone. The Republic needs heroes, Spider-Man. Symbols of hope that can inspire others to be better. The Jedi serve that role, but they're limited, bound by their code, their detachment, their fear of emotion. You have no such limitations. I have plenty of limitations, but not their limitations. You feel, you connect, you act on instinct and compassion rather than dogma. Palpatine's eyes held something Peter couldn't quite read. I believe you could do great things in this galaxy, things the Jedi cannot or will not do. Peter's unease sharpened. The Chancellor was leading somewhere with this, some offer or manipulation that Peter couldn't yet see. What kind of things? The war requires difficult choices, actions that the Jedi consider beneath them or contrary to their principles, covert operations, targeted eliminations, the removal of threats before they can harm innocent lives. Palpatine's voice remained gentle, reasonable. I'm not asking you to compromise your values, quite the opposite. I'm suggesting that your values, properly applied, could end this war faster and save millions of lives. There it is. Peter stood slowly. You want me to kill for you. I want you to protect for me. Sometimes protection requires permanent solutions. No. Peter's voice was flat, final. That's not who I am. That's never who I'll be. Palpatine's expression didn't change, but something shifted behind his eyes, a flicker of cold calculation quickly hidden. I understand. The offer stands. Should you reconsider, the door is always open. It won't be, but thanks for the chat. Peter turned toward the exit, then paused. Chancellor, one more thing. Yes? My spider sense warns me about danger. It's kept me alive against enemies who should have killed me 100 times over. Peter looked back at Palpatine, meeting those kind, grandfatherly eyes directly. It's been buzzing since I walked in here. I don't know why yet, but I will. He left without waiting for a response. He tried to recruit you. Anakin's voice carried disbelief and something else. Defensiveness, maybe. They were in the Resolute's hangar, ostensibly inspecting starfighters, but actually having a conversation they didn't want overheard. Recruit, manipulate, I don't know. But he wanted me to kill for him. Called it permanent solutions. Peter kept his voice low. Anakin, there's something wrong with him. I can feel it. The Chancellor is a good man. He's held the Republic together through the worst war in 1,000 years. I'm not saying he isn't capable. I'm saying my danger sense went off the moment I entered his office and didn't stop until I left. That doesn't happen with good people. Anakin's jaw tightened. Your spider sense isn't the Force. Maybe it's wrong. It's never wrong. Not about this. Peter stepped closer, lowering his voice further. You know him better than I do. Has he ever pushed you? Asked you to do things that felt off? The silence stretched too long. He's been a mentor to me, Anakin said finally. Since I was a boy, he understands things the Jedi don't, about power, about emotion, about what it takes to actually win this war instead of just fighting it forever. That's not a no. It's not a yes either. Anakin's expression closed off. I trust him, and I trust the Jedi. If there's a conflict there, I'll figure it out myself. Anakin, drop it, Peter. The words carried warning. You've been here a few weeks. You don't know enough to start accusing people, especially not the Chancellor. Peter wanted to push, but he recognized the wall he was hitting. Anakin's loyalty to Palpatine was deep-rooted, emotional, beyond simple logic. Challenging it directly would only make him defensive. Another approach. Build more trust first. Okay, Peter said quietly, I'll drop it. But if you ever want to talk about him, about anything, I'm here. Anakin studied him for a moment, then nodded stiffly. Noted. He walked away, leaving Peter alone with his unease and his unanswered questions. The next mission came 3 days later, a strike on a Separatist weapons facility manufacturing new droid models. Anakin led the assault with Ahsoka and a company of the 501st, and Peter went with them, still technically an observer, but everyone knew he'd be in the thick of the fighting. The facility was built into a mountain on a remote outer rim world, defended by heavy emplacements and droid patrols. The Republic plan called for a diversionary assault at the main entrance, while a small team infiltrated through service tunnels to destroy the factory's reactor. You're on the infiltration team, Anakin told Peter during the briefing. You, me, Ahsoka, and Rex. We move fast, we hit hard, we get out before the whole place comes down. Sounds like a party. It's not. This facility is producing droids that adapt to Jedi combat techniques, learn from each engagement, develop counters, share the data across the network. If they finish this production run, every battle gets harder. We need to shut it down. Peter thought of his fight with Grievous, how the general had nearly overwhelmed him with 4 lightsabers and relentless aggression. He thought of the commando droids that had ambushed them on the moon, smarter and faster than the standard models. Okay, he said, let's shut it down. The infiltration went smoothly, too smoothly. They moved through the service tunnels without encountering resistance, reaching the reactor level in half the expected time. Peter's spider sense maintained a constant low-level alert, but no specific threats materialized. I don't like this, Rex muttered, his rifle sweeping the empty corridors. Should have hit at least 3 checkpoints by now. Maybe they're focused on the main assault, Ahsoka suggested, or maybe they know we're here. Anakin's lightsaber stayed unlit but ready. Stay sharp. They reached the reactor room, a massive space dominated by the facility's power core, catwalks crisscrossing above a glowing energy pit. The destruction charges would go there, timed to detonate after they evacuated. Still no resistance. Set the charges, Anakin ordered, fast. Rex and Ahsoka moved to plant explosives while Anakin and Peter stood guard. The silence pressed in on them, broken only by the hum of the reactor and the distant rumble of the diversionary battle. Peter's spider sense spiked. Down! He shouted, tackling Anakin as a barrage of blaster fire erupted from the catwalks above. Droids, dozens of them, emerged from concealed positions, their weapons trained on the Republic team. But these weren't normal droids. They moved differently, faster, smoother, with an almost organic fluidity that made Peter's skin crawl. Their chassis were sleeker than standard models, with additional limbs and sensor arrays that tracked multiple targets simultaneously. The adaptive droids. This is what the facility was building. Ambush. Rex returned fire, his shots precise but insufficient against the numbers arrayed against them. They were waiting for us. The charges. Anakin ignited his lightsaber, deflecting bolts. Finish setting the charges. We'll never make it out in time. Then we improvise. Peter launched himself toward the catwalks, web-swinging through the chaos. His spider sense guided him through the blaster fire. But these droids were learning, adjusting their aim, predicting his movements, forcing him to constantly change patterns. He reached the first cluster and tore into them, but they fought back with unexpected coordination. One grabbed his arm while another swept his legs. A third raised its blaster for a point-blank shot. Peter ripped free, kicked the shooter into the energy pit, and webbed the other two together before throwing them after it. But more kept coming, their network sharing data on his abilities, their tactics adapting in real time. "They're too fast," Ahsoka called, her sabers spinning as she defended Rex. "We need to go." "Charges aren't set." "I'll set them." Peter landed beside the reactor core, grabbing the remaining explosives from Rex. "Get to the exit. I'll catch up." "Peter, go!" Anakin hesitated. Peter could see the conflict on his face, the instinct to argue warring with tactical necessity. Then he nodded sharply. 2 minutes, then we leave with or without you." "Understood." The team fought toward the exit while Peter worked, placing charges, setting timers, his hands steady despite the chaos around him. The adaptive droids focused their attention on him now, recognizing him as the primary threat. Blaster fire converged from every direction. His spider sense became a constant scream. 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. He placed the last charge, armed it, and ran. The droids pursued, their adaptive algorithms making them faster and more accurate with every exchange. Peter pushed his body to its limits, leaping, swinging, bouncing off walls, but they were gaining. 20 seconds to exit. A bolt caught his shoulder, spinning him. Another grazed his hip. He stumbled, nearly fell, then pushed through the pain and kept going. 10 seconds. The tunnel mouth appeared ahead, sunlight visible beyond. Anakin and Ahsoka stood at the entrance, lightsabers blazing, holding the droids back. "Come on!" Ahsoka shouted. Peter dove through the gap, Anakin and Ahsoka following immediately. Behind them, the charges detonated. The mountain moved. The explosion was massive, far larger than intended. The reactor's energy adding to the charge's yield. The tunnel collapsed, fire and debris erupting outward. Peter and the team were hurled through the air by the shockwave, landing hard on rocky ground. For a long moment, everything was noise and dust and pain. Then, silence. Peter coughed, pushing himself up on shaking arms. His body was battered, his suit torn in a dozen places, but he was alive. Around him, the others were stirring, bruised and bloodied, but intact. "Everyone okay?" Anakin groaned, helping Ahsoka to her feet. "Define okay," Rex muttered. "We're alive. Facilities destroyed." Peter looked back at the burning mountain, the smoke rising into the alien sky. Mission accomplished. "You cut that close," Ahsoka said, her voice carrying relief and reproach in equal measure. "I know. But we did it." Peter managed a weak smile beneath his mask. "That's what counts." Anakin studied him for a moment, The same evaluating look he'd given Peter since they met, but different now, softer. "You did good," Anakin said quietly. "Today and before. I wasn't sure about you when we started, but you've earned your place here. Thanks. That means a lot." Peter hesitated. "For what it's worth, you've earned something too. My trust. Whatever's going on with you, the Chancellor, the Jedi, all of it, I'm on your side. When you're ready to talk, I'll listen." Something flickered in Anakin's eyes. Gratitude, maybe, or the beginning of real friendship. "I'll keep that in mind." They made their way back to the extraction point, supporting each other through the rough terrain. Behind them, the destroyed facility burned. Ahead, the war continued. But for this moment, they were alive. They were together. That had to be enough. The war ground on. Weeks became months as Peter Parker fought alongside the 501st Legion across a dozen worlds. He learned the rhythms of Clone Wars combat, the desperate assaults, the grinding sieges, the brief moments of quiet between battles that were never quite peace. He saved lives when he could and mourned when he couldn't. He cracked jokes that made Ahsoka laugh and Rex shake his head and even Anakin smile when no one was watching. He became, against all expectation, part of the family. But he never stopped looking for a way home. The Jedi archives have records of dimensional anomalies, Obi-Wan told him during one of their conversations. Rare but documented. Most resolve themselves naturally. The universe has ways of correcting imbalances. And if it doesn't correct itself, then there are other methods, ancient techniques, largely theoretical. The Jedi haven't actively studied dimensional travel in centuries. Too dangerous, too unpredictable. Obi-Wan's expression carried sympathy. "I'm sorry, Peter. I wish I had better answers." "It's okay. I knew it wouldn't be easy." Peter stared out the viewport at the hyperspace tunnel, the swirling blue a constant reminder of how far he was from everything he knew. "I just have to believe there's a way. If I stop believing that, I don't know what I'd do." "You'd keep fighting, keep saving people. That's who you are." "Maybe. But it wouldn't be the same." Peter thought of Aunt May, of MJ, of the city that needed him. "I have people counting on me back there, a responsibility I can't just abandon, even for this." "I understand, more than you might think." Obi-Wan's voice carried old pain. "The Jedi teach detachment, but the truth is we all have attachments. People we can't let go of, duties we can't set aside. The trick is learning to honor those bonds without being consumed by them." "Is that what you do?" "I try. I don't always succeed." A small smile. "None of us do. That's part of being human, or Jedi, or spider-powered hero from another dimension." Peter laughed despite himself. "Thanks, Obi-Wan, for everything. Thank me when we find your way home. Until then, we keep looking." The mission that changed everything came without warning. A distress signal from a Republic listening post in the Outer Rim, under attack by unknown forces requesting immediate assistance. The 501st was closest, so they responded. What they found was a massacre. The listening post was destroyed, its crew slaughtered, not by droids but by something else. The bodies bore wounds from lightsabers and what looked like animal attacks. The walls were scorched with blaster fire and scarred by claws. "What did this?" Ahsoka whispered, her face pale as she surveyed the carnage. "I don't know." Anakin's expression was hard, his hand on his lightsaber. "But we're going to find out." They tracked the attackers through the facility's damaged systems, following a trail of destruction to the station's hangar. where they found the enemy waiting. Night Sisters, a coven of Dathomirian witches, their pale faces marked with dark tattoos, their eyes glowing with sickly green magic. They stood among stolen Republic equipment and bound prisoners, technicians and officers who'd survived the initial assault. And at their center, directing the operation, was a figure Peter recognized, Asajj Ventress. Skywalker, the assassin, smiled coldly, and the spider, how convenient, I owe you both for our last encounter. Let the prisoners go, Ventress, Anakin commanded. This is between us. Is it? I rather think it's between me and Count Dooku now. He discarded me, you know. Decided I was a liability after too many failures. Her smile sharpened. So I found new purpose, new allies, and new ways to make the galaxy suffer while I build my power. By kidnapping Republic personnel? By taking what I need. These technicians have knowledge, encryption codes, patrol routes, supply schedules, valuable information for someone building an independent operation. Ventress gestured lazily, and her Night Sisters raised their weapons. You're outnumbered, Skywalker. Walk away and I'll let you live. Try to stop me, and your bodies join the others. Peter counted 12 Night Sisters plus Ventress. Against them, Anakin, Ahsoka, Rex, and a handful of 500 First Troopers. Not great odds, especially with hostages in the mix, but walking away wasn't an option. I don't think so, Peter said, stepping forward. You and I have unfinished business. Do we? I recall our last meeting ended with you in chains. And I recall escaping those chains and destroying the command post you were using to coordinate the Ryloth assault. So really, I came out ahead. Ventress's smile faded. You have a death wish, Spider. I've been told that before, usually right before I win. He moved first. Peter launched himself at the Night Sisters, drawing their attention while Anakin and Ahsoka flanked wide. Rex and the clones laid down covering fire, trying to create space for the hostages. The hangar erupted into chaos. Night Sister magic was different from the Force, wilder, more primal, tied to spirits and shadows rather than the cosmic energy field. Their attacks came as green lightning, summoned weapons, and unnatural speed that pushed Peter's spider sense to its limits. He fought 3 of them simultaneously, dodging spirit fire and conjured blades, landing hits when he could but struggling to put them down. They were tougher than droids, more adaptable than commando units, actual warriors with years of combat training. You fight well, off-worlder, one Night Sister hissed, slashing at him with a glowing sword. But you're in our domain now. The shadows serve us. Shadows, huh? Peter webbed her weapon and yanked it away. I'm from New York. Shadows don't scare me. He kicked her into her sisters, buying himself a moment to assess the battlefield. Anakin was dueling Ventress, blue blade against red, their old rivalry burning hot. Ahsoka fought 2 Night Sisters, holding her own but pressed hard. Rex and the clones were pinned down, the hostages still trapped. Too many fronts. We need to consolidate. Ahsoka, Peter called, swinging toward her. Switch! She understood instantly, disengaging from her opponents and moving toward the hostages while Peter took her place. 2 Night Sisters against 1 spider, better odds than what she'd been facing, and she was faster at getting people to safety. The Night Sisters came at him with coordinated fury, their magic and blades working in tandem. Peter's spider sense kept him alive, but barely. He was taking hits now. Small cuts and burns accumulating, his body protesting the abuse. Can't keep this up. Need to end it fast. He spotted an opportunity. The hangar's overhead crane, a massive industrial arm used to load cargo, hung directly above the Night Sister position. Its controls were across the room, but if he could reach them... "Rex, cover me!" the captain responded instantly, shifting fire to suppress the Night Sisters while Peter broke away. He sprinted for the control panel, dodging blaster fire and spirit lightning, his wounded body screaming with every step. He reached the controls and slammed his palm on the release. The crane dropped its payload, a massive cargo container that had been loaded for transport. The Night Sisters scattered, but not fast enough. The container crashed down in the middle of their formation, scattering them, breaking their coordination. "Now!" Anakin shouted. The Republic team pressed the advantage. Ahsoka freed the last hostages and led them towards the exit. Rex and the clones advanced, driving the Night Sisters back. Anakin forced Ventress onto the defensive, his aggressive Gemso style overwhelming her Makashi precision. Peter rejoined the fight, taking down disoriented Night Sisters with webs and fists. The battle was turning. They were going to win. Then Ventress pulled her trump card. She retreated from Anakin, raising her hands, and screamed words in a language Peter didn't recognize. The air turned cold, shadows deepened, and from those shadows emerged something monstrous, a spirit of smoke and malice, twice the height of a human, with claws like swords and eyes like dying stars. It roared with a sound that wasn't sound, a psychic assault that made everyone flinch, made the clones cry out, made even Anakin stagger. Peter's spider sense exploded into pure alarm. That thing is wrong, fundamentally wrong. It shouldn't exist. "Impressive, isn't it?" Ventress smiled, blood trickling from her nose. The summoning had cost her. "A gift from Mother Talzin. Let's see how your heroics fare against the dark spirits of Dathomir." The spirit attacked. It moved like smoke, like nightmare, flowing around defenses and striking from impossible angles. Anakin's lightsaber passed through it without effect. Ahsoka's blades carved wounds that healed instantly. The clone's blaster fire did nothing at all. Peter dodged its claws, barely, and felt the wrongness intensify up close. This thing wasn't physical, it was spiritual, metaphysical. Existing on a plane his powers couldn't touch. Can't hit it, can't hurt it, can't... The spirit's claw caught him across the chest, and Peter learned what pain really meant. It wasn't physical damage, though that happened too. The claws tore through his suit and skin. It was something deeper, colder, a violation of his essence that made him scream without meaning to. He hit the ground hard, gasping, his vision swimming. "Peter!" Ahsoka's voice, distant and desperate. He tried to rise, but his body wouldn't cooperate. The spirit loomed over him, claws raised for the killing blow, and Anakin stepped between them. The Jedi stood alone against the dark spirit, his lightsaber raised, his jaw set with determination. He was afraid. Peter could see it in his eyes, but he didn't retreat. "Get him out of here," Anakin ordered without looking back. "Get everyone out!" "Anakin, you can't fight that thing alone. I said go!" The spirit struck, and Anakin met it with everything he had. Not his lightsaber, that was useless, but the Force itself. He pushed back against the dark entity with raw telekinetic power, straining against something that wasn't meant to be fought this way. And impossibly, it worked. The spirit recoiled, not destroyed, but checked, its form wavering against Anakin's will. "How?" Ventress's voice carried disbelief. "That's not possible. I'm the chosen one," Anakin growled through gritted teeth. "I decide what's possible." He was holding it, actually holding it, but the strain was immense. Peter could see it in his shaking arms, his contorted face. the blood vessels standing out on his neck. He couldn't keep this up for long. Ahsoka grabbed Peter, hauling him toward the exit. Rex and the clones covered the retreat, dragging the wounded, supporting the hostages. The Night Sisters tried to pursue, but they were scattered, demoralized by the failure of their trump card. "We can't leave him," Peter protested, fighting against Ahsoka's grip despite his injuries. "He's buying us time. Honor it." Her voice cracked but held firm. "That's what we do. We trust each other. He trusts us to get these people out." They reached the shuttle, piling aboard, the engines already spinning up. Through the viewport, Peter could see Anakin still fighting, alone against the dark spirit and the remaining Night Sisters, a single figure standing against impossible odds. "Come on," Peter whispered. "Come on, come on." The spirit lunged, and Anakin dropped his defense, redirecting all his power into a single force push that sent the entity hurtling backward into Ventress. The assassin screamed as her own summoned creature struck her, the magic backlashing, both figures dissolving into shadow and pain. Then Anakin was running, sprinting for the shuttle, the remaining Night Sisters too stunned to stop him. He leapt through the closing doors just as the shuttle lifted off, collapsing onto the deck, exhausted and bleeding but alive. "That," Rex said into the silence, "was insane." "It worked," Anakin gasped. "Those two things aren't mutually exclusive." The shuttle fled into hyperspace, leaving the destroyed listening post behind. Ventress and the Night Sisters would survive. Peter was certain of that, but they'd been beaten. The hostages were safe. The mission was a success. But Peter couldn't shake what he'd felt when the spirit's claws struck him. That wrongness, that violation of something fundamental. "You okay?" Ahsoka asked quietly, settling beside him. "No," Peter admitted, "but I will be." He looked at Anakin, lying on the deck with his eyes closed, chest heaving. The Jedi had faced something from beyond the natural world and hadn't flinched. He'd put himself between Peter and death without hesitation. That's the real Anakin, the hero he's supposed to be. Whatever Palpatine's trying to turn him into, this is who he actually is. Peter made a decision. He couldn't prove the Chancellor was dangerous, not yet, but he could make sure Anakin had someone in his corner who saw his potential for good instead of trying to exploit his fears and weaknesses. He could be a friend, a real one, the kind Anakin needed. That's something I can do. Even here, even in this war, that's something that matters. As the shuttle flew toward Republic space, Peter felt something shift inside him. Not resolution exactly, but clarity, purpose. He might be stuck in this galaxy for a long time. He might never find a way home. But while he was here, he could make a difference, not just by fighting battles, but by standing with people who needed someone to believe in them. Ahsoka, Rex, the clones, Anakin, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, he thought, just with a bigger neighborhood. It wasn't the life he'd planned, but maybe it was the life he needed. Spider-Man had fallen into the Clone Wars, expecting to fight his way out and swing home within days. Instead, he found a galaxy at war with itself, soldiers bred for combat without choice, when Jedi struggling to maintain their principles while commanding armies. He found people who needed him, not just his powers, but his perspective, his humor, his refusal to compromise on what mattered. Peter Parker became a legend in that galaxy, the web warrior, the masked hero who saved lives and cracked jokes while laser fire flew. But more importantly, he became a friend. To Ahsoka, whose youth and burden mirrored his own. To Rex and the clones, who finally had someone who saw them as people instead of resources, to Anakin, whose darkness and light waged constant battle for his soul. The road home remained uncertain. Dimensional travel was rare, poorly understood, and dangerous. Peter might be stuck in the Star Wars galaxy for years, or forever, but he'd accepted that possibility and chosen to make it meaningful. There were still battles to fight, Separatist forces to stop, civilians to protect. And somewhere in the shadows, Chancellor Palpatine continued his machinations, his interest in Spider-Man undiminished by Peter's refusal to cooperate. The war wasn't over, the story wasn't finished, and Peter Parker, Spider-Man, would face whatever came next the same way he always had, with courage, with responsibility, and with jokes that would make Rex groan and Ahsoka laugh, because that's what heroes do. Even in a galaxy far, far away,